on TikTok. Hey, everybody. How are you guys on TikTok? And I'm live on Instagram. All right. How's everyone doing on Instagram? I'm in New York. It's hot. I'm schmutzing for sure. All right. Let's see where we are. How are we doing here on YouTube and Facebook? Ivy Angela Rivera on Facebook and Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium on Facebook. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to tune in from the two Facebook pages, because Facebook glitched out and eliminated the two event pages I had been running for like a week. So that was unfortunate. All that was lost. And it happened like maybe 3 hours ago. So don't know why. That's on them. Hopefully you guys make it here. We had to create a new one. 2 new ones. All right, looks good. TikTok, if you guys could start hitting that heart button, give this video some love. Please do share. And looks good here on YouTube. Okay, and Facebook. Excellent. So if I can untangle my earring here, we'll go ahead and get started. This is my free show. So this is my Dear Ivy show, where you guys can post any question of any kind. This can be something personal to you that you want some advice on. This could be spiritual, universal, paranormal. It doesn't matter. Curious, random. If you have a personal question for me or about me, that's fine too. But I'm taking all questions. So this show is a play off of Dear Abby, and I'll get to that more when I do my full intro here. So you can post your question wherever you are, and Jill, my beautiful producer, will be taking them from whatever platform you're on and then displaying them here on YouTube up on the screen. If you are on Instagram or TikTok, I would highly recommend that you switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy, because TikTok will inevitably shut me down for no reason. They always shut down my lives, and Instagram can be fairly unstable. Okay, but go ahead and start posting your questions now. A couple quick announcements while we let everyone tune in. What do we have coming up, Jill? Okay, I will be at Summerfest, Porter on the Lake, Saturday, July 20th from 3 to 10 p.m. on Dietz Road in Youngstown, New York. So this is a big event. This is a huge festival. I know they've been running it for quite a few years. And you can pre-book your reading with me now up on my website. If you want to do that, go to ivyrivera.psychicmedium.com. Or if you want to try your hand at a walk-in, come on down and see me at the beach. Summerfest Porter on the Lake. Again, that's Saturday, July 20th. We also have coming up America's Grape Country Craft Beverage Festival. Super long name, but pretty much all the same stuff. You're talking about beer. You're talking about wineries. You're talking about a lot of food, that would go with it, and some vendors. I will be vending there as well. This thing gets massive foot traffic, and it brings together, all the local crafters and vendors throughout like all of Western New York, Pennsylvania, I believe even Canada, like everybody's there. Okay. So if you like that kind of thing, you're really going to have a good time here. So America's Grape Country Craft Beverage Festival. That's going to be Saturday, August 3rd from 11 to 6. And then it looks like I'm back there Sunday on August 4th as well. Again, you could pre-book your readings with me, up to 3 per person, on the website, or try your hand at a walk-in. That's going to be at Chautauqua County Fairgrounds in Dunkirk, New York. Okay, we also have super fun. So you guys have been asking, when are you going to do a guided historical tour? People have been coming here for the past couple years since I bought this place, 1882 Victorian Funeral Home. People have been coming for these self-guided tours, because you can just drive by the front of this property and scan the stick out on the lawn. It says "Scan Me." And this is part of the historical trail of Dunkirk, New York. So you can just drive around and listen to the history and the stories on all of these, massive, especially corner properties here. But a lot of you wanted a guided historical tour. So I'm offering that for the first time. That's going to be August 23rd from 7:30 to 9 p.m. Now, if you can't get here, you can join us online. So tickets are on sale up on the website. And then we have later on that evening, a paranormal class and ghost hunt. So for those of you who've also been asking, when are you going to lead one of the ghost hunts? I haven't been doing that because private groups like to come in here and do their own thing. And when we do the public groups, people like to be free to move and roam about as they wish. I didn't want to trap anyone. However, you guys have been requesting it, and I now feel like I know this place like the back of my hand. So this is a 3-hour-long training starting from the basement, going all the way up through the attic to the hot spots, where I'll be teaching you how to use your psychic, mediumistic, and empathic abilities. You can bring your own equipment, and we're going to do a ghost hunt while I train you. All right. So that's going to be super fun. It is limited space, obviously, if you want to do in person, but that is also available online. So don't feel like you have to be here for that. Okay. So go to ivyrivera.psychicmedium.com to book your spot for that. Again, that's August 23rd. The Spirit of Tarot class is starting soon with Tiffany Chisler. Tiffany has been a certified reader through the Ivy League Psychic Academy for, I want to say, over a decade. She's absolutely amazing. And she is bringing you both the traditional method of reading the cards and the intuitive method, which is going to ensure that you don't get stuck using tarot as a tool. You can evolve into mediumship. And if you want to eventually be able to work without the cards, she's going to make sure that you could do that. All right. So check it out. Her class is online if you want to join live, but if you can't, or maybe only some weeks, you can join the group. You can also get it through video download every week. And that starts August 6th and it goes through October 8th, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. What is that? Tuesdays, I think. Okay, so also up on the website. Yeah. Can't stand this heat. Okay, new show. What do I have? Oh my God. I'm so excited about this. I didn't come up with it myself. I don't know. But so I'm doing a new Get a Grip. So for those of you who follow me, I do different Get a Grip shows. Every 2 weeks, I do Get a Grip on your money, career, investments, Get a Grip on your love life and relationships. And then I've been doing Get a Grip on your intuitive intelligence, helping you to understand if you're psychic, mediumistic, or empathic. So I am now adding in a 4th Get a Grip show, and that is on your dreams. Okay, so Get a Grip on your dreams. I'm doing dream analysis the entire show. Could not be more psyched. This is literally my favorite thing to do in life. And that launches July 24th. So I think it's 2 Wednesdays from now, 9 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place. I'll see you guys back here. All right. Is that everything? No. Okay. One more announcement. Roots Revival Interfaith. So we have a church service on Sunday, July 14th, 9 p.m. Eastern on all these same platforms. And my sermon topic that week is how to make friends, not based on the typical, psychological, the different, all of these inspirational gurus and life teachers, they all give the same junk. They're regurgitating the same things about friendship. And I have found that, whether this is coming from the psychology field or this is coming from life coaches or this is coming from the spiritual, it just isn't really helpful. It doesn't work. So if you're frustrated, if you've ever Googled, or you've talked to your therapist about how to make friends, why is this so difficult? Or why do those friendships not last? Whatever it is. I'm going to break down why that hasn't been working. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how to make friends using the tools of the universe, universal law, the laws of spirituality, and make sure that you're really using your discernment in friendship making so that these relationships actually have a shot at lasting. All right. And these are also tools and techniques I've been using on my own self since I was a kid. So, yeah, we're going to get to it because it's hard. It's hard when you are a kid and you are attending school, much less when you're an adult and you're never really around people in that way. Okay. So that'll be very healing, I think, very alchemizing for a lot of people. You could take all that pain and negativity or frustration and transmute it into some positive friendships. All right, looks like we have a bunch of questions coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Welcome, everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Airwalk, and this is my Dear Ivy show, where I take your personal questions, curious questions, questions about spirituality, the universe, paranormal, anything goes. Okay, nothing is out of bounds. This is a play off of Dear Abby, which still runs, the famous columnist today, but I think Dear Abby started in the 70s. Okay, so Dear Abby was just an advice column, and people would write in, they're having a fight with their neighbor, you know, they're debating on leaving their husband, you know, they're fighting with their in-laws and they want some answers and solutions. You know, what do I do about this? And she would just give advice, and I always loved it. So I remember reading Dear Abby as a little kid in the newspaper and thinking, I'm going to do this when I grow up. And so I am, all right, but my own way. So yes, I am a psychic medium. However, these are not free psychic mediumship readings. If you need to book a reading, you can go onto my website, ivyrivera.psychicmedium.com. It's in the link above or below. And you can, even if you only have one question, just submit an email reading. Okay, that's also running along the bottom of the screen here. I do ask everyone at this time to please drop a comment. It really helps me out in the algorithm. And please give this video a thumbs up. Okay, donations are appreciated, but again, this is a free show. All right, so drop the questions on all platforms. Jill will be taking them and then moving them over here to YouTube. Jill, who do we have first? Okay, Chicken Mama says, glad to see you survived the tornado. I don't know, did we? I heard it's still about to hit here in New York. How do I release a spell that has been placed on me? So spells aren't a real thing. That's the first part in understanding that you have the power to release it, because in order for it to be real, you have to accept it. So this is not something that somebody can do to you. It is the power of suggestion, a lot like hoodoo, right? Hoodoo is, if you accept it, if you adopt it, then it is true. You could say it's psychology, but there are a lot of tricks in a lot of different religions. Here's what the Puerto Ricans like to do. You put an egg, if you feel you've been cursed, you put an egg under your pillow in a little box, in a little bucket. If you wake up in the morning and it's broken, the curse is broken. If the egg is whole, there was never a curse. Do you understand? There's nothing to this. It's not real. It's all one psychological trick into another psychological trick. What a lot of people will tell you, and don't ever go to another reader or healer if they told you this, someone tells you that you have a curse put on you, they will also, within typically a matter of minutes, let you know that they also hold the solution. So they hold the problem and they hold the solution. Okay. It's a narcissistic tactic of abuse, basically. Turning what appears to be light work into dark arts and stealing your money. So the truth of the matter is, no one can just put a curse on you. People can hate you. People can try to send negative energy your way. People can energy throw their junk at you, right? But it doesn't have to stick. You don't have to address it. You don't have to adopt it. But if you are inviting that like energy. And that like energy is not necessarily coming so much from whoever sent you that curse or ill will, as much as it's coming from you dipping into low-level paranormal activity in the universe. And that's something you really want to avoid. So you become your own worst enemy by inviting the problem in. Okay. Thank you so much for that question. That is a very common question, and I'm very happy to expose it as 100% fraudulent. Also, if curses were real, I would be long dead, I assure you. Okay. And I have had and continue to have people attack me, but that doesn't mean they have any power. All right. Voracious J says, Ivy, I'm really struggling with trying to achieve my goals. I have such a hard time overcoming my saboteur's perfectionism, primarily. What advice do you have to just start? I think that one of the things you need to do when you are in your own way is to understand that you need to do things in bite-sized pieces. So number one, make sure that you're limiting how much time you're spending on one thing. A great example is to Google ADD techniques. Now, I can't prescribe a diagnosis. I'm not saying you have ADD, but ADD techniques work for all of us, especially those of us who have perfectionism. So what they tell people with ADD to do is to maybe focus on getting started, as you say, right? Doing that task towards your ultimate goal for maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then stopping and going on to something else. Now, you may be able to do like a half an hour, 2 hours. You know, a lot of writers like to write for 5 to 6 hours, or else it's like you got nothing done, 5 to 6 hours. You have to learn what your cutoff point is, because you're probably feeling overwhelmed by the amount of time and energy that's going to suck you into completing this task. And it's daunting. It's triggering you. So you're backing off and you're saying, I can't do it. I cannot achieve this at all. So conquer it in bite-sized pieces, right? What's the African saying? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And one of the tricks that I use is to buy a gigantic calendar. Your grandmother probably had them, you know, on her secretary or whatever, you know, back in the day, like a big giant calendar. They're like $10 at, you know, Target. And you can put it up on your wall, get some colored stickers and markers and glitter guns and whatever, I don't know, whatever, you know, floats your boat, and mark what you're going to be doing on those designated days. But I also wouldn't go too far ahead. Don't feel like you need to fill out the whole month. You know, maybe just 1 to 3 days ahead of time. This is what I'm going to work on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then break it up into those chunks, smaller bites. Okay. The other thing that you need to do is block removal. So anytime we're about to get started on a massive project, we often have blocks. And those blocks could range from some emotional blockage you have in regards to your goal. It could even be something in your life that you're refusing to do that you know you were supposed to do that is creating a block. Before you start on anything massive, remove all blocks. Okay. And that alone will create enough of a flow that it really lights the fire under you and gets you going. Thank you so much for that question. Excellent question. Love it. Chicken Mama, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate you. Manny Corridor says, hi, Ivy. Any advice on how my stepdaughter, Nikki, can be helped with more confidence to do more with her life so she's not so depressed at times? I think it's really hard to motivate the younger generations, but really millennials down. Millennials, doomers, and what's the youngest generation? Alpha? We're a mess. And the reason we're a mess is because we're seeing more clearly. We're not living in denial like the boomers and the Gen Xers did. We have a clearer perception, always did, about the world around us and where it's headed. And it's very hard to pull out of that when you see no future for yourself. So I don't mean to be gloom and doom, but you are dealing with somebody from a younger generation who sees very clearly the state of the world. Now, you know, the delusions boomers and Gen Xers and even, you know, elder millennials were able to live under was that we're fixing it. Yes, some of us were fixing it. On ground level, we were fixing the world, but the government wasn't fixing anything. The rich were eating the poor constantly. They weren't fixing anything. You know, so nothing ever actually got fixed. And now the damage is looking pretty irreversible the majority of the time. So, and I'm not saying that's true. It's a case-to-case basis, but she holds the energy of the younger generations within her. And that's not a quick fix. That is a revolutionary fix. And so it's best to meet people where they are. And it's best to understand that you are not here to, you know, fix her necessarily as much as you are here to fix the world. You are not here to wake and shake her up as much as you are here to set an example in the revolution of how we need to burn down the old world and recreate the new. And that's where her passion will come to life. That's where she's going to feel as though she is doing something meaningful with her life. That's when she's fulfilling her life contract. There is no one here, especially millennials, Gen Z and alphas. There are none of us here who aren't here for the revolution. And when we're not actively participating in that activism, we feel even more dead inside. We feel a chronic state of depression that we simply cannot shake. And so the more involved we get, the more alive we become. And the faster the revolution can take place. And so lead the way. That's it. That's what's going on with her at the core. Okay. Anything else that she is going on, technically is a side effect of that, but we could do, a lot of processing of emotions, talking, any healing work she's doing with other people, transferring energy that gets blocked up in her out. She can check out the empathic awareness training up on my website that teaches you how to put other people's energy out of yours, how to block. That'll help a little bit as well. Thank you so much for that question. Let me know in the comment sections too, if you guys understand what I was just talking about and how that's affected your life. What is your perception of the current state of the world and the potential future of the world? And do you feel like you're one of these, kind of doomer types? You just can't shake the reality of what's happening here, Let's move on to another one. So Jill wants to know, and then Jill, I do have 3 questions that came in here also. So let me know when I can start getting to those. All right, so Jill wants to know, if menopause is one life change that causes level ups, what is your opinion on hormone therapy impacting this? Does it stop the level up process? I don't know. I don't know that I've ever thought of menopause as being a level up necessarily. I think it really depends on what you're doing with it. I think it could be an attack on your body that could potentially wipe you out entirely. And so I don't know that I see it necessarily as a level up. There are level up potentials in any massive change. And anytime we have something like this going on, we could see a lot of lessons, for growth and things like this. But I do think that what we're losing in menopause is a lot of baggage, and women have been told to suffer silently through their baggage. I don't know about you guys, but I think, and this is gross, but I believe I got the bill, okay, when I was like 9. My life basically ended at 9. That was it. A 9-year-old little kid. Can you imagine that? Having to then deal with the monthly bill, which technically takes 2 weeks, which is basically your whole entire life. You come out of it, you're right back into it. You get a couple days, you're right back in, right back in, right back in. Okay, so our childhoods essentially end, and then there's a lot of predatory behavior, toward us when we're little. So one of the things that I think is happening for women in menopause is the freedom from that, an opportunity to regroup and to get back in touch with who we were way back when we were kids, before we remember having all this hassle. So I think there is that magical aspect that only comes from that level of freedom, but I understand that there are a lot of negative side effects that can come with menopause, and that there is, the hormone treatment like you're referring to, that can help with that. And I think that you just have to weigh your pros and cons. If being able to take those patches and those pills and balance out like your estrogen, your progesterone, and like the testosterone or whatever it is, right? If that's making you feel better, the most important thing is that you're feeling better. So I do think we're going to see a lot of breakthroughs in that. I think it's been kept away from us, unnecessarily, especially here in the States, for a long time. And I think we are going to see some movement with that, but I don't feel that it is blocking necessarily your progress in the same way that taking drugs when you're very psychic or you're very mediumistic or you're very empathic and you get misdiagnosed with something on the DSM-5 like magical thinking or psychosis, and you get polluted with drugs, and it doesn't really stop the visions, but it does muddle everything, and it disconnects you from spirit and yourself. I don't think that happens here. So anything hormonally like replacement therapy and, balance is really probably just adding to the betterment of your life. But I would challenge everyone to see what that level of freedom, is going to is going to feel like, and try to embrace it more. And we haven't reached that place, in our society where we've been embracing different aspects of it yet, because it's been so tumultuous. So we really don't know where we can take this, but I don't think it's going to block spiritual development, leveling up, or prosperity. I really don't. Whether you allow it to just happen or you use hormone therapy. All right. Thank you so much, Jill, for your question. Very interesting. I do wonder about that a lot. Edgar Velardes says, advice, please, on setting consistent boundaries at work with clients and supervisors, like not being taken advantage of and staying very late for sessions. Okay. So Edgar, as far as people trying to get you to stay late, and feeling as though you're being taken advantage of, this is some outside work and this is some inner work. So you're going to have to let your clients and supervisors know that you have these boundaries, and that anytime someone is late, for example, that's time docked off of the session itself. And that when you need to go, you'll be packing up and ready to head out ballpark 10 minutes before you go. Doing simple things like setting an alarm. And I know that sounds like obvious or basic, or like that's not going to work. Oh, it may. When you hear your alarm go off, that is like a parent coming in and being like, 5-minute mark, we leave in 5 minutes. Do you understand? Get ready, get in alignment with that, and pack up, because this is it. Okay. You may need some kind of literal reminder. And this is your way of like gentle parenting yourself, or reparenting yourself, reprogramming yourself, because it was probably in childhood and society and, family dynamics that broke down your sense of boundaries and taught you to be complicit in these situations where you're being taken advantage of. So we have to regroup. And I think it's really about consistency. Once you do it for a designated period of time, like research shows 3 weeks is a suitable amount of time to set any new habit, I think it's going to become not only common knowledge for you that this is how it's going to go, but also anyone you're working with. That's it. Those are your boundaries. Okay. And you have to do it unapologetically. So try not to feel weird about it. You feel weird about it, don't pay attention to your emotions. It's a fact. It needs to happen. Energy is currency. Okay. You need to conserve yours. Thank you so much, Edgar. Great question. I know a lot of people are dealing with that. We have another one from C. Bathory. She says, hey, Ivy, how do you cope with working with people who let astrology transits scare them? I think sometimes it should scare them. People who are freaking out probably should be freaking out. They probably didn't do something they should have done. They know the time is up. When planets move, it's the universe's way of, again, like a parent saying 5-minute mark, now we're done, So people don't like deadlines. People don't like hearing about deadlines in their life contract. They don't like getting a tarot reading that is saying you're going to get a tower moment. They don't like truth. They don't like planetary movement that puts them in an awkward position where they are either going to be forced to make change, to let go of something, to create something new, or to receive the karmic retribution that comes from not doing that. You understand? So that's their problem. If they are freaked out, maybe they should be. As far as letting people know, reminding them that they are not victims in the universe, that they have free will, and that they should be using that free will and their mindfulness about how they are or are not using that free will 24/7. They should be more mindful, and that wouldn't then force them to have anxiety attacks. If they are more aware of the fact that they have free will and that some things are destiny charted. We have 2 different kinds of futures. We have destiny charted future, meaning a planet is going to move, meaning we are collectively going to experience this thing, meaning an event is going to occur with 100% guarantee. Yes, we have destiny charted future, But alongside that, we also have free will future. So we control whether or not we're going to be hit hard with that. We control how we're going to react to that. We control a lot of factors. So they may also be feeling as though, they have no free will. They're at the mercy of the universe, or it's a combination of both. They know that they have free will, but they're not using it, something like this. So you have to get to the bottom of what's really going on there. I would say most of the time, though, people are more than aware that they need to do things, that they could do things, that the universe supports them in doing things, and they choose to take the easy route. And then planets move, karma hits, and they freak out. All right, great question. Thank you, Kat. We're going to move on. Okay, we're ready to have some of these other questions. So, common question I get asked, and something that was posted on one of the early questions out on social media was, how, with all the changes I need to make in my life right now, how can I know what my deceased loved ones are saying to me? What directions are they giving to me? How can I better listen to my guides about telling me what I need to do next? And the bottom line is this: that's a long conversation. Check out the psychic mediumship course. Okay. We start in January. It's evergreen. You can join anytime. But basically, you're asking, how do I perform mediumship? Okay. I can't give you a quick answer on this. What I can tell you is that they are all saying the same thing. So when your grandfather comes through as a bluebird, and your grandma comes through as a cardinal, and your guides come through waking you up at 3:00 in the morning, shouting your name and telling you something through dream symbology, they're all saying the same thing. And what they're saying is that you need to get in alignment with your life contract, meaning what you signed on to before you came to Earth. You can book a life contract with me at any time. It's up on the website. You could also see a Vedic or Western astrologer. If you have a good astrologer, you could go to somebody for a numerology chart. Okay. But you need to look at your life's path and why you came here. And when you reach a point in life where you're like, I literally don't know what to do, I don't know what to create, nothing fits, things are going, but things aren't coming in, I feel like I'm treading water or I'm not on the right path at all. It's not to say that's necessarily true, but there could be some adjustments that need to be made. And I guarantee every angel that comes through, every deceased pet that comes through, every sign and symbol that the universe is sending you, every psychic inclination that you have from your own higher mind, every deceased loved one, every guide, everybody, everything is doing nothing more than aligning you with that contract, with that path, and giving you the answers. So often a big part of it is that you're not listening. Okay. So don't worry about what is so-and-so saying. What is so-and-so saying? What is so-and-so saying now? They've all been saying the same thing. And so are you. Okay. So just, be more willing to accept that and try not to complicate it. All right. Do we have any more coming in here, Jill, or can I move on to another one of mine? Okay, we have one from a Hunter Santiago. He says, what are some tips you have for someone turning 30? 30. Well, your brain is now developed. So kudos, because that was a colorful time, right? I think for men, it's like really done by like 27, women 25. So now you have a full brain, which means, and for those of you that are younger tuning in, you're like, what do you mean by that? No offense, but biologically, scientifically, we know, right? The brain is not done developing until that age. And so up until that point, you're not working with the judgment part of your brain. And there's a lot that happens where you may feel like you're chronically making bad decisions or you're getting yourself in these jams. And it's literally because your brain doesn't really know how to comprehend these things. Okay. So take it easy on yourself and try to learn those skills another way. There are a million ways to learn and kind of fake it till you make it, fake it till you get there. But it gets a lot easier after 25 to 27. So I would say, Manny, one of the things you want to do is to really, as you turn 30, is to embrace that whole new part of yourself. Okay. We often just breeze right past it and don't even know that it happened. So 27, 28, 29, these were massive years for you. You may really start to feel, like you're getting your shit together, like you're really kind of it's getting easier to adult. You may also have a lot of realizations and fantasies, delusions, kind of dying, and idealistic concepts are probably pretty much gone at this point. So it can be depressing as well. But I would spend more time looking at that part of your journey and development. And I also think that, 30 to 34 tends to be a really active time in most people's life contracts, where you may go through a significant level up. So be mindful of that. But it's really 33 and especially 36 and 37 for men, 36 and 37, 33 for women. But for someone like you, it may even come in earlier, 30 to 33, where you start tapping into past lives. So a lot of people who weren't open at all to their past lives will enter into their 30s, and all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm having past life flashbacks. I'm meeting members of my soul tribe from my past lives. I'm traveling to places I once lived. You're able to also wrap up karmic cycles that you weren't able to before from those past lives. And so there's going to be a lot of activity there. And so expect a lot more depth in the way that you live. It's like you're becoming whole. Okay. It's an exciting time. Also, you're going to have a lot of energy in your 30s. I think a lot of people seem rough, or they look like they're going downhill real quick. That does not have to be your story. In your 30s, you really want to invest. If you haven't been like working out and things like this and eating healthy, clean up your act now. Okay. It's going to really pay off in your 40s. All right. Do we have any more questions? We have another one here from Christina Hernandez. And then if we start running low, I'll get over here to my other ones, Jill. So we have Christina Hernandez says, hi, Ivy, how can I not get overwhelmed with the economy falling apart and wanting to grow in my career? For example, I'm 29 and I want to get my master's, but the job market is horrible. Yeah. So, I think that we need to be very reasonable about the way the world is changing and how capitalism is, burning down, and how this is going to take a while. There's a lot to celebrate in this. However, if you had very traditional goals within the capitalistic system, it can make it so that you're nothing but frustrated and in debt and looking at getting more in debt. I would back out now if I were you, in all honesty. And I would have to read and do a reading for you on your particular situation, to look and see if that's 100% accurate. But I'm just saying this generally and as general advice for everyone tuning in. If you are about to go into greater debt with your college degree and try to force your way into a workforce that is, dying out and full of blocks and obstacles, only to be able to maybe buy a house that you're not going to be able to, just be careful. Okay. Don't get in any more debt at this time. This is a period of time where we need to be looking at a couple different things. First of all, trades. Now, I've been saying this for over a decade. Trades are the way to go. You can learn a skill that's, going extinct. There's going to be high demand for you. You don't have to love that skill. You don't have to love that trade, but it's a trade. Do you think every guy back in the day who made horseshoes and made copper, I don't know, whatever they did in the barns, and like farmers, do you think everybody was desperate to do that? And they were like, this is my soul's mission? Probably not. Okay. But did it put food on the table? Was there a demand that never ended? Consistent supply and demand? Yeah. And so that can make you happy in a lot of other ways. So don't rule out a trade. Also, something else we need to be looking at. We came here again, okay, especially millennials, Gen Z, and alphas. We are here to lead the revolution. So anything you do in the healing arts, anything you do in light work, anything you do in assisting people to get up out of the pits that they have fallen in and up onto some stable ground and feel as though they are becoming self-empowered. Okay. Anything you do there is going to be a ridiculous demand for it. And it's all about knowing what specifically in your life contract you're supposed to be focusing on and when. Okay. So you can feel very much like you want to get into something like, your master's degree in one particular field. But you may want to look at variations of that field on a more pioneer level or a tradesman level, or even creating something, being an entrepreneur on your own, and stick with it. You don't have to abandon it entirely, but maybe think about revisiting that at a better time than right now, because it's going to be a rough road. I'm not even going to lie to people and sugarcoat. Okay. But that will help a lot of your frustration. I would also say, and this is just for everybody, play more. Play more. This is a time where we're supposed to be more creative. We finally got this opportunity to sort of step out and be like, the world's a mess and there's no point in doing this, so I'm done. But a lot of people are just like laying on their couch. Get into activism, get into artwork, get into, dance and music and writing and social media influencing. And again, light work and tarot and healing. Get out there, right? Organize. I heard about something cool in Buffalo. I didn't know it was there because I moved a while ago, but it's called Flow, I guess. This guy had posted on Facebook. I was cracking up. He was like, why do I just want to ride my bike through Delaware Park and I'm literally just tripping over like 500 hippies? What is going on in the park right now? And all these people were like, that's been going on for years. It's called Flow. And apparently people just get together and they do like fire throwing and hula hooping and anything that creates like movement. And I was thinking, this is something we desperately need out here where I am. All we have are these horrible cover bands playing and giving you headaches all the time, and everyone's smoking their cigarettes. This is something I'm thinking, I think we need to start this. There are a million things you can do that are going to, if you are following your passion and your life contract, that are going to lead you to other things. So don't say, I can't have fun, I can't explore, I can't experiment with life until I figure out what I'm doing with my financial problems and my master's degree. Don't limit yourself. Now is the time to play and explore. And that's for everybody. It's just where we are in the revolution. All right. It's all about community building too, because out with the old and with the new. Community. What can we do? Let's move on to another one. Thank you, Christina, for your question. And then I did want to also, Jill, if you could pop up the comments or any feedback when we're done with all of this. I do want to get to those tonight also. Okay, it's not Danielle, it's Danelle. Danelle Davidson Giroux says, I work for a large corporate business. The workload is out of control and the goals they want met are unattainable. Any advice? Drop them like a ton of bricks. That's what I would do. They have their boot on your neck and you're nothing but a slave in the system when they are driving you into the ground and your health into the ground, your mental and emotional well-being into the ground, blatantly putting pressure on you to achieve what they could never achieve. That's why they're doing that to you. They literally cannot achieve it. Okay. It is unachievable. And so it doesn't necessarily ever get to a place where it's better, because as things fluctuate, things in regard to your quotas and whatnot will also fluctuate. So you have to really ask the question, when do I get out of this? Is there any way to achieve what they're expecting and to know that once I achieve it, it will remain that way? And that they won't come in and raise the bar again and have me jumping for a higher apple? Ridiculous. It's never going to happen. So you have to accept the reality of the situation, cut them off, and move on. Okay. But you've definitely learned a lot about what not to do. And that should help you going forward in your life in building and recreating new, better balance, and also helping other people who don't know how to do that. All right. Thank you so much for that question. I know a lot of people. Let me know in the comments. Are you suffering with that? Are you suffering with like a job, a boss, whatever, working for a company that has ridiculously unattainable, goals and quotas? I've been hearing more and more and more of this. And that is a sign that things are deteriorating for them. And they're putting so much pressure. Like I think of the teachers and how many teachers have quit and they're like, I'm out. I can't do this. It is unrealistic in every way right now. That's a big part of it. Okay. I think I'm going to get to another one of my questions if we don't have another one here waiting, Jill. So the next question I had come in early is, how can I let go? And this has also been coming up very frequently in the last couple months with people asking, why is it that why is it that I feel I did the healing work? I went to the therapist. I did the shadow workbook. Why is it that I did all these things and I simply cannot let go? Do I need to do a cord cutting? Do I need this? Do I need that? Is it me? I think that what's really happening is that we are looking at our healing process as something that's linear. It's from A to B. It's like reading a book, cover to cover. Now I'm done. That's behind me. And it doesn't work that way. Healing is cyclical. So it comes back up again and again and again and again over the course of our lives. And we could be triggered into it at any time. And whenever that happens, it's a sign that you're ready to deal with this new part of it. Okay. This new aspect or level. But you have to be willing to do that work. You cannot run from it. And you can't just shove it down and say, I went to therapy for that. I'm not thinking about this, or necessarily label it as being unproductive, an unproductive, intrusive, invasive thought. You're not necessarily ruminating. Now, I'm not saying ruminate. Don't. Okay. But if it isn't that, then it isn't that. And there's something more going on with it. I would highly recommend that you start doing something, maybe depending on how bad you're feeling, however many times a week you need to do it. Start with once a week and see if you need to increase the amount of time you do this, but you must walk. Go for a walk. I like to call these feeling walks. Okay. It's not just a healing walk. It's a feeling walk. And during that walk, I am going to allow myself to cry, put on your sunglasses, let it out. Who cares? I'm going to allow myself to ignore everyone else around me. I'm not smiling. Hey, how was your day? Da, 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 chit chat. Nope. This is me time. Okay. I'm focusing on myself, and you're just allowing whatever needs to come up and come out to come up and come out. You're not directing it. You don't have a to-do list or a checklist. You don't know what's going to come up, but let it happen. You may want to stay off your phone during that time, because that could be, an outlet for distractions to come in and pull you away from this special sacred time, for yourself, and just walk. Okay. It's going to help you to stay in the flow. Okay. And maintain the healing that you're looking for. And, it's really letting go. Yes, cord cutting and things like that can assist you in letting go. But when we talk about letting go, and we're talking about releasing things that we no longer want, even if we don't know what it is, it's just a really shitty feeling, for example, we really need some type of fluidity. So that could be like listening to drums, playing drums. But I have found that walking is the absolute best. And the best of the best is if you can allow yourself to walk for like an hour, however many times a week you need, in nature. So if you're doing it down by water, if you're doing it through the woods, if you're doing it in a park, or just even around your neighborhood, that would be great. Okay. Do we have any more coming in here, Joe? We have another one. I see coming in from a Michaela Garcia. Wow. Without knowing it, I did so many healing walks, jogs. I cried and was able to heal myself years ago. Yes, Michaela. Yes. So a lot of people talk about healing walks. They talk about digestion after dinner walks. They talk about, walks for meditation or motion meditation, right? These are all sort of the same idea, but what we're really doing with this is having zero agenda other than bawling your eyes out, feeling pissed off, right? Letting out whatever needs to come up, and you're not trying to direct it in any way, right? It is whatever feelings come. It's a feeling walk. Love that. Thank you for that testimony. There you go. Yeah, Michaela said, I need to do this again for my soul. Yes. And we really should be doing this always, not just in a period of time where, we feel kind of stuck or depressed or like we're dealing with a lot. We should just do this for regular spiritual hygiene and maintenance. So C. Bathory says, Esmeralda Marie is going crazy. She says, can you give advice on how to stay grounded when it feels like society is collapsing? Well, that's hilarious because that's my third question that was sent in to me early. So I guess we'll just combine these. And if we have any more, we'll get to them. Otherwise, we'll get to comments and feedback. Okay. So the question I had was, from people saying like, there's no justice. I want to fight, but I can't keep my chin up. Like society's falling apart. How do I get rid of this anger? Everyone's salty. This is a miserable time. So funny. Okay. So Kat says, can you give advice on how to stay grounded? Same idea. All right. So what do we do? Well, the first and most important thing is that you're using blocking exercises. So you guys could check out the empathic awareness class up on the website. It's going to teach you how to block. It's going to teach you how to cleanse. And it's going to teach you how to stay grounded. Now, this isn't something you do occasionally. This is something you do throughout the day. You have to maintain it, right? So making sure that, first of all, you're not picking up and accidentally absorbing other people's ailments, emotions, through telepathy, their thoughts. No. Okay, keep that outside of you. Your energy is sacred. Your aura, your space, personal space. Okay, that is sacred. Keep it clean, keep it your own. Then you need to really make sure that you are cleansing. So anytime I have a negative encounter, I often, because I'm so busy, I often forget it happened. And I've moved on to other things. And then I realize I'm irritated. I'm agitated. Something's off. And then I'll be like, rewind. Let's go back and see what happened. And then I can pinpoint it. Try to be more mindful. Okay. Now I'm guilty of this. I just struggle with mindfulness. I've got Gemini in like 7 houses in my chart. Okay. It's go, 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 go. And when something bad happens, I forget it even happened until it's lingering in my emotions, which affects the energy field, which eventually affects the actions that are taken, the thoughts, right? So you have to be more mindful throughout the day and when you're sleeping that you're really aware of the triggers and you're being diligent in cleansing, okay, that negativity out. So I'll just stop, for example. It's the same thing that you would do if you did a Reiki healing on someone, or for those of you who do energy work or readings, we all do the same thing. We either shake, or you brush it off, or you do dry bathing, or you do the sage, whatever. Okay, whatever your techniques are. But you need to cleanse out regularly throughout the day. And that is going to require that you're more mindful, or that you like set an alarm and you schedule it. Maybe just doing it 3 times a day is enough. But I do think it's that necessary. And I think it is that bad out there. And the world is in such a state of disaster that we are collectively picking up all day, every day, all night on, or every night, all night on other people's energy. And so it does really become like a morning, afternoon, and evening thing for you, where you need to, at the very least, cleanse. Now, once you're cleansed, you are in a good position to do grounding. All right. So first keep that junk out, then get that other junk out that got in there, and then ground. All right. So my favorite grounding exercise is to pretend that I'm a tree. So you take your shoes off, put your feet flat on the floor. If you can't do that, or it's going to look weird and you can't, whatever, you can still feel it through your shoes. Put your feet flat, close your eyes, and visualize that you're a tree. Visualize the roots growing out of the bottom of your feet into the earth. And it goes down lower and lower and lower. Right about the second or the third lower, you should feel those roots pulling the bottom of your feet. The gravity is pulling and anchoring you to the earth. Okay. And then you can say, I am safe. I am protected. No negativity can enter here. I am rooted. I am grounded. Something along that line. Okay. And you should be good. And that should really only take like maybe, as you get good at it, 2 minutes. Okay. Super simple, very effective, and it can last hours. All right. Thank you for your question, Kat. Yeah. And Kat says, yeah, I'm realizing I'm absorbing other people's junk. For sure. For sure. Okay. So I also think, on the note of realizing that society is collapsing, it's not all going to collapse at once right here where we are. So like, I went through many months, for example, where I was obsessed with the energy of Gaza and what was going on there, because I knew we were in a small window where it could be corrected. But I also knew that wasn't going to happen. And so there was a lot of grieving that had to happen with that. And I had to learn how to say, okay, I still have to be an activist. But I have to also understand that the disasters that are occurring in the world and will be occurring in the world aren't all going to hit right here for me, to have to deal with on a day to day. And I still have to maintain where I am. So it's about knowing how to be an activist while the world is collapsing, or we could say in this point, revolution and being rebuilt. And also knowing how to stay in your lane so that you don't get so drained that you're not accomplishing anything. Okay, including your own stuff. All right, we're going to get on to another question here, or a comment. This is from Matt Stafford, my favorite journalist. How are you? Matt Stafford says, cats are awesome. Any advice on giving advice? Giving advice to cats? Any advice on giving advice? I think that, and Matt is a journalist. I think that, when you're giving advice, you have to make sure that you don't get negative karmic kickback. And so that requires that you are only giving advice to people when it's going to be received. Now, as a journalist, that's not how that's going to work. You're literally going against the grain, especially if you're in Watchdog or anything like that, right? So that's not what I'm talking about. But on a more personal level, when you're dealing with family, friends, lovers, whatever, you are only to be giving advice when that person is open to receive it. And the only way you really know is whether or not they've been receiving the other advice you gave and they're utilizing it. Because a lot of people will say, I want your advice, and then they'll ignore your advice, which means they are not standing on their own 2 feet. They're using up your energy. You are technically enabling them at this point because you're giving them attention and treating them like they're a victim, and they want to be a victim, clearly, based on their choices. You should, at that point, stop giving advice. And that's uncomfortable if you've been doing it, okay? But if you continue to give advice to someone, or you continue to push your agenda in a situation that is unwilling to receive, is determined to either misunderstand you or to choose the wrong path, then they need to suffer the consequences of their karma alone. And if you're involved, it's going to be negative karmic kickback onto you, because technically you fed the problem. Technically you enabled them. And the universe really frowns upon that severely. So what you can see in dealing with someone like this repeatedly, where you're giving, and they're not really doing anything with it, or they do and then they stop, and then, they're back in the gutter and they're asking for your advice again. What happens is that all other areas of prosperity in your life start to deteriorate. So there's a lot of disintegration going on in your life, and you can't pinpoint why. I like to, and this is a message for everyone, I like to remind people that we were trained up in a society that wants us to see life in categories. You have your relationships, you have money, you have health, you have travel. No, you don't. It's a spider web. Everything is connected. And when something is off in one area, there's a hole in that web in one area, it's going to affect the stability and the prosperity in all other areas. Everything is connected. Okay. But the universe is particularly harsh in the negative karmic kickback in regards to our relationships, and whether or not we are detached, we have healthy boundaries, and we know how to stay in our lane. Okay. So examine yourself and ask, where have I not been doing this with improper balance? Why is it that I'm not doing it in proper balance? How am I going to make the changes going forward? And let it be weird. Let it be awkward when you don't help that person anymore. That's how it goes. And they'll hopefully learn to stand on their own 2 feet, and I wish that's what always happened, but sometimes it isn't. And so the only thing you could do is be like, okay, what's plan B? What's plan C? How am I going to feel if they deteriorate? Get prepared, because free will is a tricky thing. We just don't know. All right. Do we have any other questions? Thank you, Matt. That is a very timely question. I know a lot of people are suffering with that, boundary issues and whatnot. All right. We have another one coming in from a Bells Ringing 202 on TikTok. And also, could everybody please give this video a thumbs up if you're tuning in late? This is the Dear Ivy Show. I'm giving free advice on any topic of any kind. Yeah, feel free to subscribe. Thanks so much. I bought a vibration plate and it has been great for me, like a healing walk or jog. Yeah, I saw these things. It's like you're kind of, these are old actually, right? I remember seeing in the 80s commercials for these from back in the 50s and like the 40s. It's really funny, right? So I love that this is making you feel, like you're going for that healing jog, healing walk, whatever it is. And this is also part of what we were talking about earlier when I was using the example of flow, which is all the hippies getting together with the, the fire throwers and the like hula hoops and stuff and just creating movement, right? This is all part of it. So motion, meditation, feeling walks, any type of fluidity that you can create in your life. And for those of you who are watching, if you have a disability and you can't do something, like what Bells Ringing is doing, you can't stand on one of those, you can't go for a walk, you can still move, you could still create motion through whether it's, other bodily activity, or even things like, again, drums, repeat sounds, meditation music that creates flow, the sound of water, having a lot of plants around you. And even little, like they make a lot of these little, Buddha statues and whatnot, where there's like water trickling, the sound of that. There are a million ways to create flow, if and when you find yourself in a situation where you can't actually move. But this is great. Yeah, I would highly recommend you guys get those. They look excellent. I've been watching the TikTok ads for them, and I'm like, this is where it's at. This is what we're into right now. And there's a reason for it, right? Everyone's waking up to this. I love this. Michaela Garcia says, Ivy, I was just looking at a vibration last night. This is confirmation to get it. There you go. And like, I don't own one, but it's all the same idea. So fun. Okay. We have another question here from Jill Marie, or a comment. Jill says, being a tree is my favorite grounding exercise. It must be a Gemini thing. I also like to visualize being in the water with my guides for cleansing. Absolutely beautiful. And the way Jill is talking about creating like a grounding exercise that she can just go back to and use whenever she needs it, I think is so important for everybody to have. If you don't have some type of visualization that you use, make one. This is a very simple exercise where you're doing nothing like a deep state of meditation. You don't need someone to take you on a journey. It is not complicated. Just close your eyes and visualize an atmosphere that makes you feel as though you can be in the flow of it. It is cleansing. It is moving. It is grounding for you. And then add whatever you want to it. Start with something basic, like I close my eyes and I see myself walking on the beach, or I close my eyes and, like Jill said, she's standing in water, or you're sitting on the beach, whatever it is, and then add to it as you want, but it'll get you there real quick. Okay. This is not a complicated exercise, but a lot of people over the years have complicated meditation by far. Okay. It doesn't take hours and it's not something you really have to do. It's just close your eyes and visualize something. Okay. That's the most effective type of meditation there is. Danelle says, my 18-year-old daughter is grieving due to recent life-changing events. How do you advise why this is happening to her? Well, I would have to look at the situation specifically in a reading to see like what exactly is going on with her, and why it's happening, what the bigger lessons are. But, you would want to, as her mother, guide her to look at that. So she has her own intuition, she has her own life contract, whether it's getting her a healing or getting her a reading, be careful where you're going and who you're talking to about it. But basically anything that happens in life is with the purpose of us growing, learning, using it as a tool, and alchemizing. So we're alchemizing the negativity into positivity in some way. And she could just start there, basic level. Why is it happening? What does it mean? What can I learn from it? How can I use this? Okay. And like a mantra, anytime it's like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I've had it, I'm melting down, I'm flipping out. That's fine. That's an important part of it too. Feel your feelings, get comfortable in the discomfort, have the meltdowns, but also this, we need a healthy balance between the two. It really can't just be one and it can't be the other. All right. And then it becomes more clear how it is a part of the life contract and things like that. All right. Thank you for that question. You're welcome, Danelle. We have another one coming in. Sandy Zamora on TikTok. If you guys are on TikTok, you may want to switch to YouTube at Ask Ivy because it looks like they're about to shut me down again for no reason. They'll say nobody was here, even though I see a ton of you. Thank you for the hearts. YouTube at Ask Ivy. Okay, we'll be getting to your questions over here because we're about to lose the connection, I'm sure. Sandy Zamora on TikTok says, I have a PEMF machine to help ground, similar to Schumann. Interesting. Okay. I have no idea what that is. I'm going to have to Google that. I'm going to write that down. PEMF machine. PEMF machine. Schumann. All right. Love that. So there you go, you guys. I mean, other solutions from people who use it regularly. And I think there are a million. A lot of people like sound bowls and, chimes can help. There are a million different things. And yes, if a machine is going to work, I don't know if that's a motion machine. It sounds like it's not. I'm not getting that feeling. But a lot of people, can't do the motion stuff. So there you go. Thank you for sharing that, Sandy. You guys may want to look into that. Do we have any other questions or comments coming in? Okay, C. Bathory says, I have a question more than advice. Can others block our abundance with their free will decisions? No. So just like no one can put a curse on you, no one can block your abundance. They cannot cost you when it is rightfully yours. However, you can give up your power to them and cost yourself everything. So you have to agree with whatever it is that they're negatively doing against you. And then, yes, it can work. However, I will say this. If you are in the healing arts, if you're a light worker, if you are trying to build a business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're whatever, okay, if you are trying to create something and it could potentially bring in a lot of power, a lot of wealth, along with that level of power comes great responsibility. And I have found that the universe has a way of being more strict against you if you are creating something like that and you have a bunch of negative people around you. So you get hit harder in relationship boundaries if you're not setting them properly than the average person who's not doing any of that type of work would. They may get away with it. You, on the other hand, would find that by entertaining negative people or allowing people around you who don't like you, are attacking you, psychic attacks, whatever, they're trying to steal your prosperity. Or even if they're not intentionally doing that, but they're toxic, they will steal your prosperity. It will stunt out the development of these other areas of your life. And you're not going to know why these things aren't growing because, again, we think of things in categories when it's actually a big spider web and everything is connected. So you're going to be looking at the work you're doing. You're like, why isn't this working? It's because of these negative people, that are around you. I see this in marriages a lot. I see people in a toxic relationship and they won't leave, whether it be a love partner, cohabitation, they have a kid with somebody, whatever, marriage, right? They won't leave. And they wonder why the rest of their life has completely deteriorated. And they're not connecting everything back to the fact that they have this one toxic partner and nothing can get in, right? Every time the bus stops, somebody's got to get off. In order for another door to open, a door has to close. That is the law always has been, always will be. So yes, they can block your abundance. I've also seen it when I'm trying to create something, whether it be for my business, the reading business, or the church ministry, or the school that I run. Like anytime I'm trying to create something and it involves a group of other people, like we're supposed to be building this as a community. So help me God, if I have a weak link in that group, who some days does well and then other days does bad. And then some days they choose the high vibration and some days they choose the low vibration. It's like we're all on download. It's like we're all just becoming like, it's like a mouse on a wheel type energy. So they don't necessarily steal your prosperity, but they can delay it. They can drag it out. And usually you have to get rid of that person and replace them with someone who's more stable and effectively moving up. So it does happen in that way. Interesting question. 100%. We should all be more aware of this, right? Because we talk a lot casually in memes about, or whatnot, the company you keep. But do you think of the company you keep as depriving you of prosperity? Probably not. And it is if it's not healthy. So be careful. And do we have any other questions or comments coming in here? Oh, PEMF is a pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. I still don't understand it, but I am still going to Google that. Pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. I think I get it. Is this like brain spotting? Interesting. Okay. Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. I am intrigued. I'm going to fall down a rabbit hole later. Any other questions or comments? We are at time. All right, you guys. So I just want to remind you, Psychic Mediumship course now open for registration. If you wanted to do it live in January, limited seating. We're also evergreen. So you could join the Psychic Mediumship course at any time. And then we have tarot registration is now open, and that's starting in a few weeks. Okay. If you want to book a reading, a party, or a psychic fair with me, you can go to Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com. I will see you guys there. Thanks so much, Jill. Thanks, Kat. Have a great night, everyone.